Hello and welcome back to Chengi's World. Today is Soul Saturday and I am excited to share the word with you today because it's exactly, I know that it's exactly what you have been waiting to hear. Okay, so I am so sorry I fell off grid. I had to collect myself. You know, we have been talking about, finishing and making sure that every single thing that God promised us for 2018 shall and will come to pass. Okay, and so if you're new to my channel, welcome to Chengi's World. I am Chengi and you, my precious one, are so my world. So if you want to become my world, if you're new to my channel, make sure you subscribe, like, share, comment, and become part of this incredible and amazing family that I call Chengi's World. So today I want to talk to you about when victory looks like defeat. Okay, right, okay. I'm just going to get into this one. Here's the thing. Winners are not decided at the beginning, in the middle. Winners are decided at the finish line. And the enemy of our soul knows that to be the truth. And so the whole journey is to discourage you and to paint a picture so bleak on the outside that you just give up on your own journey all by yourself. But you don't lose until you quit. The only way you know you've lost is when you quit. And quitting just seems so much easier. But it is in fact losing. As long as you keep going, you haven't lost. You know, is the turtle, is the rabbit and is the hare and the turtle situation. The turtle just kept moving at the same steady pace and he won the race. Because ultimately in life, it's about resilience, it's about persistence, it's about pushing past what appears, and I really want this to be clear, that what appears to the senses to be the facts is not the truth. The truth and the facts sometimes are at war, sometimes they come together, and when they come together, we call that breakthrough. We call that a miracle. We call that favor when the truth and the facts come together. And what is the difference? The difference is, the fact is, I might be coughing and splattering and having a runny nose and a temperature. The fact is, I might have a cold. But the truth is, I am healed. By the stripe of Jesus Christ, I am healed. It remains the truth whether I cough 1,000 times, don't cough at all. That is my truth. Okay, so when the truth imposes itself on the facts and I am walking in perfect healing and the cold is gone and the flu is gone because God has healed me of that cancer, that cold, whatever it is that is ailing me, then that becomes a miracle. So when the truth superimposes itself on the facts, then it becomes a miracle. We're all right now in this season running towards the finish because we are looking and expecting that miracle. Here's the thing with God. He's never going to promise you and give you something that you can do yourself. Like, what's the point? Why would God, the heavy hitter, the big honcho, the guy upstairs who's got it all going on, the creator of heaven and earth, waste his greatness and his energy doing for you what you can do for yourself? Why would you do for your child what they can do for themselves? Why would you tell them, I am going to come to your room and put your socks on for you when your kid knows how to put socks on, right? You would only do something for your child that you know hands down, unless you do it for them, it ain't going to get done. It's not going to work. But you know that it's going to make them happy. So God at the beginning of every year or at the beginning of every season, because seasons can be years, will tell us, I want to do this for you. And at first it's like, okay, why would you tell me that you're going to get me married? Why would you give me the promise that I'm gonna become a millionaire? Why would you give me the promise that I'm gonna, either in my mind, maybe the job I'm doing, maybe I could work that out, maybe I could work out getting me in, but maybe it's been a while and, God is reassuring you and saying, I'm gonna get you married, girl, I'm gonna bring you a great guy, and I'm gonna give you a new job, and I'm gonna change your situation financially. You're not gonna struggle anymore for money. You are gonna have a better life. And he's making you all these ridiculous promises that are just, of course, because that's what God does. He does ridiculous things. They're so incredibly amazing that they're ridiculous. And he's making this promise to you. And if he makes that promise to you, honey, let me tell you something. It means that promise is gonna look impossible. It means he's telling you ahead of time, because he's saying, look, there are going to be obstacles. There are going to be situations that are going to play out here that are going to make you think it's game over, right? But if you hold on to my word and you keep persisting and you keep doing what's right and you press in and you hone in all your energies and you laser focus and you don't let yourself be distracted, you will get to the other end. If you decide to remember what I have promised you, if you decide to believe me when there's no evidence or reason to, you are gonna see me show up. I am gonna show up for you so bad. And you know what? It's gonna cost you too, because it's gonna cost you a bit of your dignity. You're gonna think, gosh, if you don't show up for me, Jesus, the shame is gonna be so big. If you don't show up for me, Jesus, something, you know, sometimes the prophecies are so big, and sometimes you've risked already so much in pursuit and to position yourself because you believe that God is going to do this. You've risked so much, and you're kind of like between Shameville or, you know, survival, and you've really put yourself out because you believed God and you knew that you had to quit that job, or you had to, you know, step out of your comfort zone to meet that person, and you had to open your heart to somebody that perhaps you had been close to for a long time. You've had to do something in response to what you believe God has for you, and you've done it, and you're waiting and you're looking and you're thinking, I'm gonna sink. If you don't come through, I'm gonna sink. I'm gonna come across like the fraud. They're gonna think that my God is not real, that my God doesn't work. Now everybody's gonna say, I told you so. I told you so. You should have never done it. And now I'm in this rock and hard place where only God can deliver me. And so the word that I have for you, if you're in that situation, if that's the way this year is looking to you, November is coming to an end. In fact, by the time you watch this video, it has come to an end, okay? And you are thinking, oh God, 30 more days before the end of the year, and I don't see anything, okay? I don't see the promises of God. I'm nowhere near. In fact, they look far away. I want to remind you of a man called Gideon. And Gideon, you can go read her story. Just Google Gideon and you will find his story. Go read the story of Gideon. But I just want to mention something about Gideon. God did something in that situation that is so interesting for us as we go through this hard time. So he calls Gideon and says, you're going to go and you're going to go to war for Israel and you're going to win. Okay. And then Gideon's like, all right, then he goes through a few, bits and doubt, like you did when God showed you and called you, and you're like, me, Lord, me, you're going to make me a millionaire. You're going to make me a wife and mom. You're going to make me a mom. Me, who am I? Or whatever the promise that God gave you, you doubted and you wanted God to prove it, and he did. And so he goes off and he's ready to go to war. He's got all these men with him. He's thinking, I've got a fighting chance here. And you know how that felt when you got your promise and all this stuff started to seemingly come together, and you started to meet someone and you started to meet people, and whatever it is that God had promised you, you sort of started to see the kind of, woo, I can see it possible. And Gideon was like, you know what? I might not have the best of, I've got the word of God plus an army. If that doesn't work, okay, and we're going to go win this battle. And then God is like, you kind of have too many men for what I need to do. Okay. So Gideon is like, okay. And I think the first test was drinking of the water, and the ones that, okay, y'all gotta go. I think the first one was, are you scared? Those who were scared, please go. And he saw like a chunk of his army, of his hope, of how he was gonna make it happen. Leave. Okay, he was thinking, when God promises something, what we do is we get into our flesh and we get into our humanity, and we kind of work out how we're going to make God's promise happen. Okay, he said we're going to win, so we work out how that's going to happen. I'm going to look really pretty and go to the gym and work out, and I'm going to make that happen. Okay, nothing wrong with preparation, but it's not really preparation. We're kind of going to make it happen, because if God's one doesn't work, Chengi's plan will. Okay, so Gideon's army bugger off, and you realize, gosh, you lot wimps. You probably felt like, how am I gonna win? These guys are not even proper soldiers anyway, whatever. How am I gonna win? And then God's like, okay, right, next test, those who drink. And bottom line is, the man now has 300 soldiers against a fierce and mighty army, right? He's not going to some teenage toddlers. He's going to men of war, armies that are desperate to destroy them. armies that have been there, that are fierce, that are bigger than him, that have, okay. And, you know, Gideon was really thinking, I didn't want to do this in the first place. I was good just being Gideon. But you, Lord, come in here, mess up my mojo, try to start giving me dreams. I was good being single. I had decided that being single works for me. And now you come with your promises. And every guy I've met this year has turned out to be wrong. Bad situation for me. I was happy being single. I was happy being broke. Yes, I was always hoping, but you know what? I knew how I could handle my 20p, you know. Now you bring this to me, and then whatever I had, you scatter it. The little bit of money I'd collected is all gone. You know, the little bit of wealth I had that I had, you know, summed up is all gone. And now I have 300 men, and I have to face that army. And that is when victory looks like defeat. At this point, he doesn't realize that he is absolutely set himself up for victory. That God has absolutely positioned him for victory. Why? Because he didn't know how God was going to deliver him. He thought he did. He thought he would do it the way man do things. You know what I mean? He thought that God would do things the way men know them to be done. Big armies going against another big army. Who is the strongest? Who is the most persistent? Who's got the most strength? But God wasn't about that life. God had a whole different plan. God's plan. Let me tell you something. This is for you. God's plan for how he's going to make his promise come to pass in your life has nothing to do with the way that it's always been done. Is not even common to man. Is not something that you suspect. And it's so simple, it's ridiculous. Why? Because God has to have the glory. Look, he will not share his glory with anybody. So he had to create a situation. And now Gideon's thinking, and then on top of that, God's like, okay, what y'all gonna do is gonna get pots and pans, right? And you're gonna beat those pots and pans. And I'm thinking, let me tell you something about walking in the promises of God. It's free, but it's not cheap. And 99.9% of the time, you're gonna look like an idiot. Yeah, I said it. You are gonna have to sacrifice your dignity, your image, and your reputation to gain a bigger one, to gain a more authentic one, okay? Gideon had to sacrifice his dignity. I mean, can you imagine the 300 brave noblemen, you know, they drank, you know, from the water on their knees, and so that they could always be perceiving the enemy. And you know, they were noble, they didn't, you know, drink like animals, you know, they were brave, they were not the ones that went home running because they were afraid. And now you're telling these men to take pots and pans and whack the, really? But guess what? That strategy was heaven's strategy for Gideon to win this battle so that God would get the glory. Yes, God went to Gideon. He didn't choose some man from some noble army family with, you know, all the heritage. Yes, God came to you. He came to you. He came to you. He came to you for a reason. Yes, you. He wants to make you a millionaire and your whole family. No one's ever known that kind of money. He wants to make you a billionaire. No one's ever known that kind of money. He wants to make you a trillionaire. Nobody's ever known that kind of money. But why you? Because then it can only ever be God who did it. He came to you for marriage. Yeah, he messed up your little mojo situation, you know, with your I'm going to stay single. The person in the whole family who was good to stay single, in the whole clan of your friends who was good to stay single, the only person in your classroom, the only person in your world, he came to you. Why did he go to all these desperate girls who wanted to get... No. He came to you, the one who'd settled with being single, and it messed up your world. And now you're coming to the end of the year and you got this promise and all you've had is disappointment. And now you're thinking, hell no. Okay, you've already taken enough chances. Can you afford another chance? He's given you, you know, all your money's like running out of your bank account. You're supposed to be rich, like what? He came to you for a reason. He came to you for a reason, because he wants to show himself to be God. He wants to show himself to be mighty. He wants to show himself to be powerful, not only in your life, but in the life of your family, in the life of your nation, in the life of your city. Because guess what? We are out here on these streets speaking about a God who is able to do exceedingly abundantly, a God who nothing is impossible for him. Yet for some reason, we have no testimony. For some reason, we don't have a story to share. Let me tell you something. In the last hour, when it seems as dark as possible, is when we are all supposed to pack it in and give it up. But not the victors, not the ones that win in life. The ones that win in life are the ones that persist, the ones that resist, the ones that continue to press on. My pastor always says, losers never win and winners never winners never quit and quitters never win. That is not his original one, but he loves saying it a lot. And it is so true, because the moment you decide to quit, the moment you decide that it's not worth it, it's just not worth it, that's when you lose. But in this season, I want to encourage you to be like Gideon, to see the losses that should be equating to victories, to see those people leave you, to see that relationship break up. The guy that was gonna marry you, he's dumped you. It's over. And see that, and still see God and his promise at the end of the road, and still see and still believe and still hold on to the truth of God's word, even when it looks darkest, even when it looks bleak, and know that if God has said it is so, it is so. And you're going to press on until it manifests. You know, Isaiah in the book of Isaiah says, give him no rest and give yourself no rest. So Isaiah 62, until he establishes you, until he establishes Jerusalem. We're not going to rest it out. We're not going to rest it out because it's the 31st of December. We're not going to rest it out because, you know, it's end of the year. Hoo-ha. If you have a mission and you have a promise, you are going to step it up, because your stepping up is saying, I have faith. I have faith as small as a mustard seed. And I am commanding the situation to come into alignment with what God has for it. And I am commanding heaven and the wisdom of heaven to release the strategy for this to come to pass, to release the boldness to go with the strategy, because often the things that God asks us to do require boldness, to release the vulnerability, to release the grace for me to do what I hear God saying to do. Because guess what? God is always a co-laborer. He wants some skin in the game. He wants your skin in the game. It's gotta cost you something. It's gotta cost you something. It's just gotta cost you something. And so I want to encourage you today to be like Gideon, to see what seems to be losses as victory. In fact, I don't think there is a man that God has ever called to serve him or to be great and to have his name remembered, who has not at some point in his life felt a sense of defeat when in fact God was setting him up for victory. I believe that when Moses wanted to deliver his people and they were not able to receive him at the time that they did, that he felt defeated. In his heart of hearts, he wanted to set them free. And so he killed somebody instead. And now they sent him off. They sent him off. Instead of leveraging his influence in the palace, they accuse him and cause him to run away. They failed to protect him. They failed to protect their deliverer. And I'm sure in the 32 years that he was in the wilderness, he felt that he had lost. But he hadn't lost. God was positioning him for victory. When Esther was having won the king's heart and now had not been seen for a year, she must have thought, you know what, I don't even know what I'm doing here. I don't even know why I haven't. But God was trying to create a situation where she would not be so familiar with the king that when he did see her, he would truly rejoice at her presence. You see, God is always working out something exceedingly abundantly above what we could ever think or imagine. His wisdom is beyond this world. And I love how God rescues in the simplest of ways. Like, I love it. You know, get excited, get happy in this season. I want you to continue to press on. I want you to continue to push on. I want you to do those prayers, go that distance, run that race, bleed if you have to. I want you to continue to do that, because your faith will speak. It will speak to the heavens. It will move God, and it will move obstacles out of your way. I want to encourage you to see what a appears as defeat as victory. And I want you to know that there is always a glory that is set before you, but always a cross to endure. And so we know that Jesus said, look, he has endured the cross for the glory that was set before him. There is always a cross, but always glory on the other side. So I hope that you were encouraged there on Soul Saturday. Continue to believe, continue to trust in God, continue to hold on to his word. He is not a man that he should lie, nor the son of man that he should change his mind. Believe him. If there's nothing that you will ever do, believe that it is possible and position yourself for victory. Because this moment where you feel like you've lost, this moment where you feel like giving up, this very specific moment where you feel like, what's the point? That's a sign of victory. This circumstance, this situation is telling you that you have become victorious. Thank you so much for watching. I love you lots, and I'll see you in my next video. Take care of you. Bye-bye now.